Give me 1 second. Whoa, sorry if that was a little bit louder. Had my gain up. Yeah, just give me a second. Okay. All right. Goodness gracious. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Gauntlet Ascension. I'm your favorite underwater host, Sharky, and tonight, or rather this afternoon, we got quite the banger in store for you all. It is, of course, the Millionaires, the team that is currently 8-2, strong off of a victory up against the Wavy Ones, going up against the Sparkss looking to turn around the season and potentially avoid the play-in tournament. Of course, we have a debut that is going to be playing for the Sparkss, as well as a lot of exciting matches lined up. Currently, our Ruby players are going to be up first, Anpu and Jakob. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get over there while they put in their seeds. I'll be right back to grab something. And when players are done warming up, we can get things underway. So I can grab us more water. Thanks for being patient. I believe both players are in fact ready. So, let's go ahead and get them counted down to game number 1 between the Millionaires and Sparkss, or match number 1 between Millionaires and Sparkss Moves. Here we're going 3, 2, 1, Tetris. We do have same piece sets and identical openers as well. Gotta fix up a couple of things because one of our players last night didn't have stuff on stencil properly, but should be no big problem. That being said, well, players have gotten a Tetris on the board, and they're starting to get up high. Has only received 3 long bars so far. Yaka was able to use that most recent one and turn it into a Tetris. Onpu still having to do some burning. Well, it's now finally open for Onpu. He's going to be able to start scoring Tetrises once again. Jakob is going to go into a lead, though. About a Tetris and a half. As of right now, things have begun to be pretty stable. The players are set up for clean Tetrises. Onpu going to be trailing by 2 Tetris at this point. The Thomas Jefferson adjustment. Interesting. That is for sure not an adjustment I've ever heard of. But something that I have heard of is good drought management. That's exactly what both of these players have been displaying this game. Of course, Jakob been able to have a slightly stronger affinity for long bar utilization in this first game. Both players going to knock down Tetrises. Of course, Jakob, one of the players for the Sparkss Minas, is going to be participating in the playoffs. Anpu as well. As a matter of fact, the entire Millionaires roster is going to be playing in the playoffs. And a good chunk of the Sparkss and Minos roster is going to be playing there as well. Beautiful delay burn setup over there from Anpu. And finds the right placement to burn things away to be able to score Tetris. 304 for Anpu, 337, make that 360 for Jakob. And also, Dan B. Weller, thank you for the raid of 15 earlier. I was multitasking, so to speak. And Jakob having to do some burning, keeping hope alive. There's Tetris for Anpu. Jakob's also going to find a Tetris and still going to go for row 2. Anpu, however, starting to kind of increase long bar utilization. Another slightly dirty Tetris. Great adjustment over there for Anpu. He's going to find another Tetris. 382 to now 442. Post-transition is nearing. Tetris for Jakob. Nice. Anpu hits the spin. Knocks down a Tetris as well. Jakob has done a fantastic job of being incredibly efficient in this row 2 Tetris setup. Anpu going to be looking for a J piece. Jakob having to do a little bit of burning. J piece comes a bit late, so now it gets converted to an I piece dependency. Still waiting on that I piece. There it is, and I love that T flat placement. Oh, that was incredibly clever. Jakob up top surviving. Anpu knocks down another Tetris. One more to go. Jakob transitions at 525. Anpu not going to be transitioning with a clean stack. What makes it to transition at 464. So almost a 100,000 point lead for Jakob, and is in a clean position to continue scoring Tetrises. Anpu getting the good set of pieces. Would love to get a J. T makes its way over to the left. Very crucial placement there. Now looking for an L. Gets the L, but still continuing to try and downstack. Jakob is going to slow down that hole over there, and column 5 is going to prove to be slightly problematic. Anpu able to find the adjustment in a narrow enough time frame. Still trying to burn out. Would love an L or a J. Gets the L. Now is J piece dependent. Covers up the dependency. Making pieces get over to the left. Anpu still staying alive. But Jakob has almost built up a 200,000 point lead. T piece is going to be godsend over there for Anpu. Nice quick tap on the I piece. Would love... Oh, those pieces are perfect. But a misdrop for Anpu. Pieces do make it over to the left. And that O hang, that might prove to be fatal. Was doing perfect on the downstacking effort, but perfect up until the final moment. It's not going to be enough. Jakob takes game number 1, leading the match 1-0. this. Anpu is Das player. Jakob is Das player turned roller. Hey, there's nothing wrong with playing Das. This is the Ruby level too, so it's completely possible. Want to say real quick before we get started with our next match, as players increment the seeds. Thank you Matthew99A for the follow, and thank you Therapy Enjoyer for the follow. Looks like we do have readies from both players. Let's go and get them counted down. Jakob with the 1-game advantage, but can Anpu equalize? We're about to find out. Here we're going 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Ooh, we got an interesting setup over here from Anpu. Oh, no line spin. Interesting. Decided to hold out for the T-Tug. 2 quick burn lines are going to be taken over there for Anpu. Jakob is going to be able to find the first Tetris in a lot of vertical space on the left-hand side. But things should be fine. Anpu is Tetris ready and is going to find his first Tetris of the game. Meanwhile, Jakob holding out tremendously for this L, and that's, you know, a benefit of rolling. You can hold out for certain pieces for so long, but still, those pieces did not come, and things got complicated real quick. And this is going to give Anpu the opportunity to build up a small lead. Nothing like what we saw in the post-transition of the previous game, but about a 2 Tetris lead is definitely something that's worth commenting on. As now both players are going to be clean, and Anpu, small misdrop on the T-piece. I was going to comment on the cleverness of the S-flat that was being set up. Jakob now in a little bit of danger. Does get the well open, trying to avoid closing it, but left no choice to. Jakob reopens up the well. Still waiting on this long bar, and there it is, a Tetris for Jakob. It's going to spin a couple of lines, just get the board under control. Another Tetris for Jakob. And looks like Anpu's going to opt to actually burn all the way down to the bottom. Not going to go for any row 2 shenanigans. Still going to be holding on to a 1 Tetris lead. Another misdrop from Anpu is going to be able to slide an O underneath there. And sets up another delay burn. And that's one thing that you can tell from Anpu's playstyle, at least in this particular matchup. Goes for a lot of delay burns. And, ooh, that was a tough Z piece over there for Jakob. Going to be looking for an I piece to fill in that dependency on column 5. Still waiting on this I piece. Misdrop over there from Anpu. It's a bit of an annoying one to deal with. As Anpu's not going to be able to score until the consequences of said misdrop are dealt with. The J piece is going to be needed. Does get an I piece. It makes its way over to the left. Jakob has taken the lead, but Anpu does have the pace advantage. Tetris is going to be scored for both. And a second Tetris actually found over there from Jakob. Another Tetris for Anpu goes up to 218. Jakob at 237. Ahead by 5 lines, and Tetris from Anpu goes up to 240. So, yeah, an incredibly close game here on level 18. Jakob having to deal with a lot of complicated situations, and Anpu just being forced to burn at the wrong time, so not able to fully capitalize on the situations that Jakob's having to deal with. Ooh, I like the setup that Anpu's trying to go for here. Oh, these pieces are pretty good for Anpu. Could be slightly better. Nice, Anpu avoiding setting up the long bar dependency. Jakob's going to knock down Tetris, and at this point, Jakob actually has put himself in a position to start building up a lead. 313 for Jakob, 252 for Anpu. Jakob, ever since getting things corrected around 80 lines, has been able to maintain a consistent flow with Tetrises. Tetris for Anpu, 302 to now 404. Looking at a 500k transition on Jakob's end and a 450 on Anpu's side. And Jakob's going to transition at 465. Anpu still has 9 lines and change. Or not 9 lines and change, but now less than 9 lines to go. Another Tetris for Jakob, going to stay alive. Anpu sets up a really aggressive delay burn. I like the ideas behind this, but this close to the post-transition, hits the quick tap. Anpu needs some help, and he needs some help right now. And there it is. Anpu's going to top at a 367. Jakob takes game number 2. And is 1 match away from winning the first point for the Sparkss and Minos. No, the match score at the bottom is still correct, because the match is not over. It is 0-0. The badges by the side of the team names indicates how many games a player has won. Thank you so much for the follow, R75mm. Okay. No, you're fine. I mean, it's understandable if you've not, you haven't been in my stream too often, haven't seen the way that I do my layouts, especially for a team format, which is quite foreign to the typical way that you would play classic Tetris competitive. But yeah, no, you're perfectly fine. Looks like Jakob is going to play this one out. Probably not glitch colors, as under the Gauntlet rule set, there is a super kill screen at 39. Ooh. Okay. What do colors look weird? This is a direct. That's Jakob's capture. So it's a bit brighter, but not a glitch color. Depending on whose capture it is, you'll see differences. So in the case of O's capture, his 26 and 27 would end up looking a bit darker than most other players as he plays on the Retron. Oh my gosh. I'm interested to see if the max does happen. Because there's quite a bit of help that's needed. The S placement is going to do it. But game 2 does go to Jakob. The current matchup, or there is no queue since the matches are set up in advance. But up next is going to be Grand Designs versus Katsugiri, followed by O versus Ansel, and then for the captain's match, Miles versus Scooty. All right. Well, that being said, both players. Oh no, we do not have it ready from Anpu. Ignore me. Anpu's trying to deal with the OBS demon. We all love OBS, except for when it doesn't work. In which case, all my homies hate OBS. But better than Streamlabs. Infinitely better than Streamlabs. My overlay would not be possible with Streamlabs. Well, that's the thing, Deck. If you need the bare minimum for stuff, like Streamlabs can fulfill that. But as complex as my scenes are, like in order to do what I wanted to do with it was the first ever online qualifier back in 2020, the classic Tetris Gauntlet Open. In order to do stuff for that particular tournament, Streamlabs could not. It actually couldn't. It was restricted in so many ways to where it was just it's just not viable. A big thing is at the time, instead, because there wasn't a Max Out Club. Max Out Club wasn't developed at the time, and there was no Nestor's Champs. There was a sharpener made by Zeal, and in order to get like a HD rendering of shapes or your blocks and scores and stuff, you had to be on OBS in order to do that rendering. The sharpener did not work on Streamlabs. All right, but it does look like Anpu is ready, so once Jakob is ready, then we can get that underway. Like, for having your basics, there's nothing wrong with on Streamlabs, but when you're trying to start doing like super complex stuff, then oh, hello. OBS is the way to go. With that being said, though, we can talk more about that possibly during the intermission. Because, yeah. Let's go ahead and get our third match counted down. Here we go in 3, 2, or third game countdown. 3, 2, 1, Tetris. As you can see, both players are on the same pieces. Anpu is down 0-2. He's going to be looking to at least win this game to try and extend the set. And already a little bit of awkwardness. Jakob's going to be able to bring the stack into a more comfortable position, but neither player is going to be able to score. Great delay burn set up over there from Anpu. There's the Tetris for Jakob and a Tetris for Anpu. Going to be separated by a little bit over a double in points. Another Tetris for Jakob. And has brought the stack back down to the right-hand side. Tetris going to be scored for Anpu. Jakob, once again, going to take an early lead here on level 18. Or at the beginning part of level 18. Beautiful T adjustment to accommodate the O. Anpu's going to knock down Tetris 103 to now 125. And after a little bit of a turbulent opening, wouldn't say it was super turbulent, but definitely a bit rough around the edges. Both players have found themselves in a comfortable position to be able to score Tetrises in a pretty consistent manner. Jakob did set up a T-spin dependency, so it's going to slow down temporarily. And so is Anpu, actually. Jakob does find the ideal piece. Is going to get that well open. So does Anpu. And the drought continues. That's one thing about this particular set, is level 18 has been pretty drought heavy. Well is open. Great placements over there from Anpu. What a way to keep the well open. Jakob does get his well open, knocks down a Tetris. And Anpu follows up with one. And manages to get set up for another. We're back into a tie game position. 2-11, or not tie exactly, but you guys get the idea. 2-11 and now 2-16. Following a triple from Jakob. Tetris for Anpu, gonna take the lead. Jakob holding out for the next long bar. Great drought management. Tetris for Jakob. The game has really been testing these players, especially on Anpu's side. Not being able to play as high as Jakob is forced to try and find efficiency through means of creative setups. And there's definitely been no shortage of said creative setups in this particular game, or throughout the entire match, really. Another Tetris going to be scored by Jakob, and a Tetris going to be scored by Anpu. Great last second adjustment on the T. Not super crazy, but it did allow for a Tetris to be scored at that point in time. Anpu now Tetris ready, is falling behind in lines. And you'll see that generally happen as Jakob has been playing a bit higher to try and maximize level 18 efficiency. Tetris for Anpu. He's going to take the safety burn. Very close game this time around. Separated by one Tetris real time, but just about even in pace. No Tetris for Jakob. Anpu is Tetris ready. Perfect pieces for Anpu's stack over there. Jakob really has that left built up, but was one Mino shy of being Tetris ready. Hits the spin. Arguably crucial. There it is, Tetris for Jakob. Still going to be holding on to the lead. As eyepieces continue to hit Jakob's stack, and it's only been able to use a handful for scoring Tetrises. Another Tetris for Jakob. One more will send us into the post-transition. Anpu not too far behind. There it is, Tetris for Jakob. A 5:45 transition. Anpu looking at a potential 5:30. Depending on how these next pieces go. I like that adjustment with the T, despite him shaking his head. 5:19, so 5:40 is actually on the table. If Anpu is able to find a Tetris here somewhere. He's playing conservatively. Oh my gosh, goes for the adjustment. There it is, Tetris for Anpu. A 5:43 transition, just about neck and neck in terms of transitions. But Jakob, with the current lead, Anpu's going to be spending some time bringing the stack into a more favorable position. Couple of misshots over here from Anpu. Able to execute the tuck. Couple of unwanted S's. Anpu is in a must-win situation here in the set. Nicely done over here from Anpu. Both players just trying to survive here on the post-transition. That S piece, a really tough piece for Anpu to deal with. However, the accompanying pieces are going to alleviate some of that pain. Jakob's almost down to the bottom. Anpu looking for a couple more set of pieces here. A Z piece would be helpful. But RNG's trying to send him a couple of Z's in a different fashion. Anpu still loves that Z piece. Unfortunately, these pieces just aren't ideal. Anpu looks like not going to be able to do anything. He's going to top out at 568. Jakob with the sweep is going to give the Sparkss Minos a one-match advantage. However, this is far from over. May have won the battle, but the war is still ongoing. Up next, we're going to be having Grand Designs versus Katsugiri. Pardon me. So, I'm going to let Yaka play this out and head into a swift intermission. $9.18 over here for Yakko. So not possible to max before 29, but a max is possible. Ooh. $9.64. That's gonna be good. But we're gonna head into our intermission. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Wait, W emote. Pop King? Oh, that's actually it. Dude, that's a W emote. What the heck? Alright, players are down for SPS. Let me know. Maybe the pieces will be a little bit better. It's not gonna lie, 18 pieces last game. They're pretty rough. But ah, yes. Y'all have chosen death. Oh no, I haven't seen Colin Seed give players an 87-piece drought in a match. I haven't seen that happen yet. But both players are ready. Let's go ahead and get match number 2 between Millionaires and Sparkss and Minos underway. Grand Designs, long stay of the Millionaires, Katsugiri debuting for the Sparkss and Minos. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Yeah, that does confirm it. Both players are, in fact, on the same piece sets. Care to put your money where your mouth is, King? Anyways, right now both players getting things underway. Katsugiri down stacking here, opens up the well. Tetris is going to be scored into the lead. 57,000 for Katsugiri, 39 for Grand Designs. Grand Design's working with a column 8 here. He's going to take the safety triple. There's another Tetris for Grand Designs and a Tetris for Katsugiri. Up to a Tetris and a half lead here in the opener. As of right now, things are pretty stable. Katsugiri with a 3 Tetris lead here in the beginning. Grand Designs back to the right-hand side. Looking for a J piece. Now converts into an L piece dependency. And Grand Designs really just not finding success with these current pieces. What? Those pieces are going to work out well. And there it is. Great timing, too. Grand Designs knocks down a Tetris, but so does Katsugiri. Almost up to a 100,000 point lead. 227 for Katsugiri, 152 for Grand Designs. And GD is going to be forced to do a little bit more burning here. That ZP is going to be perfect. The well is open. And man, Grand Design just keeps getting just one wrong piece for the way that his board is currently set up. Katsugiri going to be looking for an L piece, preferably sooner than later. Now would love an I piece. There it is. Tetris for Katsugiri, staying alive. But does have some digging to do, and Grand Designs knocks down a off-center will Tetris. Actually going to be a will transfer too. Katsugiri looking for pieces to make over to the left-hand side. Not going to go for the S-spin. They decide to place the O right there in column 7 and 8. Needs an L and a J. J can't make it over to the left. And Katsugiri is going to top it at 282. Grand Designs has a chase down of 283. Knocks down one Tetris. There's another. At this point, a triple would be good enough. But we are on level 18, so up to GD to determine how he closes it out. That's not enough. Still needs one more line. And there it is. GD takes game number 1. Winning the first game for the Millionaires this series so far. This is Gauntlet Ascension. Thank you, Lawpog Series, for the raid. Gauntlet Ascension is a team-based competitive event where players play on the team in matches consisting of 4 people. But that being said, both of our players are in fact ready. Let's go ahead and get them counted down. We go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. And Grand Designs actually going to be the first to strike. He's going to knock down a Tetris. Katsugiri is going to follow. And last game was definitely a bit rough. There was a lot of uncomfortable piece sequences, and Grand Designs basically felt the brunt of it. But Katsugiri got into a position where a misdrop was fatal. So now Grand Designs has the advantage. Another early drought here. Grand Designs finds the long bar for a Tetris, and so does Katsugiri. Grand Designs holding on to a small lead. Grand Design's massive long bar dependency built up. Was able to find one long bar. Can help alleviate some pain. Katsugiri actually not in a position to take advantage, as she has a long bar dependency on her stack as well. That being said, Katsugiri knocks down Tetris, taking the lead away from GD. GD is going to be looking for a couple of pieces to burn, at least two, no, not two, now 4 lines. Long bar dependency gets set up over there in column 3. And Grand Designs is going to decide to compromise with RNG, not hold out for said eyepiece. And probably a good thing too. Meanwhile, Katsugiri would like RNG to compromise with her. Couple of misdrops. Katsugiri is going to top out at 140. Grand Designs has a chase down at 141. And that triple is going to be good enough. Grand Designs takes game number 2. Hey, I want to point something out real quick. Notice how King earlier in the chat said, all my money is on Mrs. Vinky, but did not participate in the prediction. King is waiting for me to put up a channel point reward because he's been saving up channel points for years. This dude probably has like 300,000. Probably more than that. With that being said, we do have it ready from both players. Let's go ahead and get them counted down. Game number 3. We go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Well, players are in fact playing on same piece sets. So they're gonna get the same amount of long bars, or lack thereof in the case of Gauntlet, as each other. But Grand Designs, the whole entire thing that has led to success in this particular match, and throughout majority of his prior seasons, as he's a long-term millionaire, has been his ability to outlast majority of his opponents. Great down stacking over here for Katsugiri. Renazan's going to hold on to an early lead. And right now, both players are actually running into a somewhat uncomfortable piece sequence. Grand Design's actually forced to do an interesting setup here. Not going to be able to utilize the eyepiece for a Tetris. Neither is Katsugiri. As a matter of fact, both players are in concerning positions. Alright. Apparently Grand Design's got a follow or something. 158 now for Grand Designs. Both players actually getting out of their respective troubles close at the same time. Kasagiri just wants an L or an I. Oh. A little bit hairy. Amazing effort over here from Kasagiri. Grand Designs does get the well open, and so does Kasagiri, and both players actually find a Tetris too. That was not an easy sequence to work through, as both players had to deal with respective issues. But what a dig. And it looks like Kasagiri has a couple of pathways that she could take here. Is going to decide to burn all the way down. Grand Designs leading in pace. However, that hole on row 4, that's actually going to prevent Grand Designs from scoring anything. This is a pretty decently sized opportunity for Kasagiri. Be able to close the gap at least by one Tetris. Well, I said it's an opportunity, but that's of course dependent on RNG providing these players with a long bar. Which, that's not happening. I forgot the kind of show that I run here. Long bar comes a bit too late, and Kasagiri can use either of those. And a lot of Z pieces. RNG really trying to put Kasagiri to sleep here. And he's trying to get set up for the knockout blow. Eyepiece doesn't make it over to the left. Kasagiri tops it at 217. Becoming a victim to the Gauntlet curse. Grand Designs with a sweep. Takes game number 3. And ties up the set, or the series, 1-1. I mean, I kind of didn't warn you beforehand. Normally, like, majority of the time, if you debut in the Ascension League, you're most likely going to lose your first match. Like, that is always happens to... It's happened for, like, the past 3 years of Gauntlet. Like, whoever debuts in Gauntlet, or not even just Ascension, like, normally, like, a debut for, like, a Gauntlet, like, upper tier, like, free stream, it generally results in a lost match. I think there's been 4 people that haven't been a victim to it. It's kind of crazy. Like, I could count on one hand that have that have not been a victim to it. It's wild. But with that being said, what is wild is this next match we're about to get into. We're going to be having O versus Ansel. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Yeah, if you have a max, I'm not opposed to playing you. I've been consistent with that threshold. Because if you can get a max once, that means you can get a max in a game. So, yeah, I'd be down to play you. But of course, I'm not gonna go easy. Well, we gotta wait and see if Ansel will wake up in time. I think Ansel was expecting a little bit more of a buffer. What do you mean? There it is. Yeah, but Alex T is not a DAS main. I mean, he has what? A DAS? I know Alex T has a DAS max. Maybe a DAS 1.1? Nah. But it'd be fun to play King. And I guess eventually there will be the day I'll have to play Lapis at some point. Crazy thing, it almost happened freaking at Waco, dude. Actually, Monkas, bro. If that would have happened at Waco, I would have not got my 1.1. Monkas. Dude, I think the double sweep might have done something. See if we can hear anything back from Anso. Loser plays Colin so they can feel better about themselves. That's funny. Anyways, hope everyone's doing hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Ansel, where are you, bro? Yeah, Miles and Scooty will be later on. Unless Miles and Scooty are available now. Then we can push the O and Ansel match back slightly. Well, no, because O would have O said there was challengers, right? Dude, I had to jump through so many hoops to schedule this. It was actually ridiculous. No, Challenger starts at 7. Wait. Yeah, that would be a problem. Challenger starts at 7. Dingler versus Somalian. If that goes first. Ooh. This is a tough one. Let me see if Ansel's here by any chance. Well, no, stream doesn't just end here. I'm just trying to figure out. Let's see. Alright, just ask Miles and Scooty if they would be down to play now. And if they say yes, then we'll push back Ansel and O. And then I'll have to ask O. Alright, well, Scooty is actually not home right now. Huh. Damn, what do I do? Huh. He went to get Chipotle. So, yeah, he totally did not. Miles is here. I see. So Scooty is 20 minutes out. Is it time for some well, heck, nah, because I wouldn't be able to do like proper self-commentary because it would be like super delayed. Because I do not feel like bringing my drawing tablet. I guess I'm down to do some matches, kill some time. Chipotle? What? Chipotle? How? I guess we'll try and go until... Okay. So... Alright, what do you guys want? I think I boot up the... or not boot up the stream, but set up my stuff. Maybe do like a couple of just random, like 2 random games. And then... we'll wait for either Ansel to show up or O to show up. Can you sub? I mean, if you want Danvy. If you're down for it. Yeah, O is here. O's waiting in the wings. Danvy is a Sparkss and Minos. So it'd be Danvy versus O. Grand Designs has to go do the CTO draw or whatnot. Alright, looks like we're gonna have a substitute. Right, Dan? Or... yeah, he's got you there, Mari. You lost to King. You didn't just lose to King. Like, I'd say that King, like, kind of dominated you, man. It was a pretty brutal loss. Alright. Sweet. We're gonna have Danvy versus O. Best part about the way that I organize my scenes, it's like a 3-minute change. Changed man. Bro gets on commentary with me once and then says he's a changed man. Nah, JK. Brutal loss for who? Oh, you're gonna be playing Dan V. Isn't that exciting? Right. I mean, it's possible. Something possible in the near future. Dude, most of the times I'm busy on Sunday. It's been lucky that I haven't had a Gauntlet match scheduled. Ah, frick! Ow! Ow! I was messing with my pen, and then I was just popping my the pen lid up and down, and then I missed whenever I popped it back down, so then I'll push my... It's like, it's one of those sharp pens. Frick, dude, that must hurt. But yeah, I'm fine. Look, Kingsman, do not joke about that, man. That was one of the most traumatizing experiences in my life. Like, Holy cow. I do not care what anyone says. I've had it so rough hosting freaking Gauntlet. Bro, there wasn't one, all right? There wasn't two. There were 3 wasps in the middle of me trying to commentating match. Holy cow. I'm sitting here, I'm like, bro, what am I gonna do? One of them died of starvation, which, that was cool. But I was like, bro, I was freaking out. I'm trying to do commentary. King saved it. He was providing commentary while I'm trying to figure out how to handle wasps. Nah, dude. Haven't been stung by one, but there was a point in time. You can actually like go on my Twitter when I was tweeting about it. I had killed like 14 wasps in under 7 days. It was a tough week, man. But oh, does Dan V have an alt? Cause I put up Dan V Weller, nothing shows up. So maybe he's playing on an alt. Where do I live? Dude, I live in middle of nowhere, Texas. Wait, does that mean I get access to the rest of the Classic Tetris Australia server? I've been in that server just because. I'm just like there. No, I do not live in Waco, dude. Waco is not middle of nowhere. Waco is middle of somewhere. Bro, the population of the quote-unquote city I live in has only 2,000 people. According to the 2020 census. So yeah, it's pretty barren. Had, you know, a couple of wolves out here, some bobcats. We do see some deers. Think I've seen a buck. Because they're a rebel. AOL Instant Messenger. That's funny. Oh, here. We'll zoom out on O, make him look. Interesting, though. I was deciding to wear the black one. There we go. Look at that. Dude, my thumb hurts still from that freaking pen, man. Anyways, O has requested SPS. Does Dan decline? And before no SPS and comments are like, well, this is not actually a game because they're not playing on the same piece sets. Dude, YouTube normie arguments are hilarious. What are y'all talking about? Dan V is supposed to play. Didn't y'all see what it said on today's matches? It totally said Dan V. O versus Dan V. I can even prove it to y'all. No, I didn't write the wrong person. All right. Ha ha ha. So you have chosen death. Anyways, while they're putting in finishing warming up. See, look at that. It says O versus Dan V. What are you guys doing? It never said Ansel. Actual Mandela effect. Gaslighting? What? I'd never. Oil is a very important resource. Setting it on fire for no reason would be crazy, man. I need a bet in order for me to put badges on the intro screen on Poo. I'd have to redesign how it looks. But thank you all for being so patient and listen to me ramble, stab myself with a pen on accident. And yeah. We are ready to get them counted down. So here we go. Game number 1 between O and Dan V. In 3, 2, 1. Tetris. As the way things stand right now, both teams are tied 1-1. Winner of this will give their captain a chance to close it out. And as it stands right now, the Sparkss and Minos need every win that they can get for the remainder of the second half of the season in order to try and avoid the play-in tournament. However, they still have a chance at playoffs regardless, whether it be through making it in the top 6 or playing in the play-in tournament. That being said, O has managed to score the first couple of Tetrises. Dan V, nice adjustment for the O, has fallen slightly behind. Both players down to the bottom. Dan V's trying to get set up for a Tetris. Meanwhile, O shaking his head for some reason. I missed it. But has more than double, well, not anymore, but had more than double Dan V's points at the moment. So both players now waiting for the 14th long bar. And looks like they're having to wait a bit. Look at this flat stack from Dan. Good timing on the long bar. Had to create an overhang. A bit awkward with the Z. But is ready for the next one. Fortunately, well was covered. Get a little bit tricky to manage. J piece dependent now over there in column 7-8. Uses an I piece to fill it. Knocks down a Tetris. Oh, gonna maintain the advantage here though. It's going to be a dirty Tetris for O. 264 now for O. 204 for Dan V. Both players operating with your atypical setups. Dan V with, or both players actually, with the center well. One in column 7, one in column 6. And oh, forced to do a ton of burning here. Dan V able to close the gap by a Tetris as a result. Oh, Tetris over here for 349 and now 256. And both players having to do some burning, and it's interesting. It happens close to around the same time. Dan V gets open first. O gets open second. Still about a 3.5 Tetris lead for O. As both players waiting for pieces to get built up. Or rather, O now waiting for pieces to get built up. Dan B looking for a J, and so is O. And wow, that J's just not showing up at the moment. And O's going to be forced to burn quite a bit from here. Dan V playing with fire, burning to avoid getting burned. He's gonna stay alive. Meanwhile, O still running into complications. And just like that, Dan V has closed the gap. 433 to now 424. O barely leads by half a Tetris. We are closing in on the transition, so speeds will increase. Both of these players do roll, so they can play up pretty high and confidently on 19, and of course 29 is also playable. One more Tetris is available for O. One more Tetris realistically available for Dan V. Wow, look at all these S's. A true S burst in the 19. Well, not quite, but you get the idea. Dan V transitions at 479. O transitions at 529. Massive long bar dependency set up over there in column 5 for O. Does get the eyepiece. Tetris ready now. Dan V is going to knock down a row 2. Going to be trailing by just over a Tetris. As both players now getting stacked up here on level 20. Oh, waiting for an J piece. Both players now waiting on the next I piece. It seems like they're going to be waiting for a while. It's nowhere to be found. Players are forced to do burns. Oh, not too happy about that, but opens up the well. Tetris for Dan V. Oh, waiting patiently as Dan V took the lead, and O takes it right back. Or no, he doesn't. Dan V was able to find a Tetris of efficiency that I missed. I'll be honest right there. Another Tetris over there for Dan. O set up for a right well. There it is, Tetris for O. 626, now 646. Dan V, one more line to burn to get access to the well once again. However, O is in a position to capitalize. Nice skim. Tetris for O. Dan V looking for something. Doesn't find it in a soon enough time period. And this will allow O to take the lead. Clean board for O. Dan V working on getting clean. There's the Tetris for O. 689 to now 657. O's having to do a few burns, but still has a 1 Tetris lead over Dan V. 691 and now 724. Oh, still not getting favorable pieces. We are separated by only a couple thousand points at the moment. There's the Tetris for O and a Tetris for Dan V. 764 to now 759. Now a long bar dependency over there for O. Gets filled. Knocks down a Tetris. 795 to now 796. We are closing in on level 29. Dan V finds the perfect eyepiece. Burns the triple O, looking to skim, but doesn't need to. Both players knock down a Tetris. 9,000 point lead for Dan V. However, is slightly ahead in lines over O. There's going to be another Tetris for O. Another Tetris for O. 897 to now 875. Another Tetris for Dan V. Tetris for O. 931 now for O. And looks like O gonna try and operate out of column 8 here. Finds the long bar. Knocks down a Tetris. One away from the max. Dan V, on the other hand, set up for 1. Knocks it down. Trying to get ready for the next one as we get closer and closer to 29. Dan V looking for an eyepiece. Both players looking for one last Tetris here before 29, but the eyepiece nowhere to be found. Dan V transitions at 957 on level 29. O is at A04, is going to transition to 29 at A07. Now, Dan V at A flat, basically. O holding up for the next long bar, waiting patiently. There's the Tetris for O. Goes up to A51. Both players now on level 30. Dan V just having to bring the stack down, not in a scoring position. O trying to take his time, not trying to go too aggressive, but a couple of misdrops. Going to complicate things slightly. Definitely. Oh, that J piece is going to be perfect. O is back down to the bottom, and so is Dan V. A 2 Tetris lead in O's favor as both players enter level 31. Neither player is willing to set up for a Tetris just yet. Looking for an ideal way to get set up here. Nice flat placements over there to the left for O. And burns down. Dan V hangs long bars on top of each other. That's going to be it. Dan V tops out at A31. O takes game number 1. What a game. Close all the way up until the end, where O is able to generate enough separation. Truly fantastic. And O able to get the F as well. Dude, my thumb is... I don't feel it anymore, but man, it was kind of tingly. You know? Truth the latter. That's funny. When both players have incremented and are ready for the next game, we can get them counted down. Also, my youngest sister came in here with a bowl of popcorn just for me. Recently, my dad showed her how to make popcorn from scratch. So every day she's been fixing popcorn, and she, came in, gave me a bowl of popcorn. No, I didn't ask her anything. She's so sweet. Meanwhile, I don't know what the heck O is over here doing. Yes, F1. All right, your ladder show is over. As we get ready to dive straight into game number 2, let's go ahead and get them counted down. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. what a nail-biter of a game that it was in game 1. Of course, it was close all the way up until 29, where O was able to find a degree of separation. Was able to score at Tetris. I mean, even Dan V had, at one point, was only 10,000 points away at 29. Oh, beautiful tuck into a T-spin over there for O. But Dan V not forced to burn a line yet. As O has already taken one burn. And, ooh, interesting situation developing over here for O. There's a couple ways to solve this, but I'm curious. Is he going to go for the double tuck? Yes, he does. He's able to execute on it. Meanwhile, Dan V trying to keep staying flawless, and so far is doing so. No Tetris for Dan B, 182 to now 184. I think we could see a flawless 40 here. And actually, this is a lot of long bars here in the early game. Tetris for Dan V with the Vits too. Lot of complicated pieces hit O stack. So trying to find a way to navigate through this going to be rather complicated, as Dan V is looking for a specific piece. That piece isn't coming, and it's not opting for the J spin either. Was given an opportunity to potentially just get away to try and attack column 9 in some sort of fashion, but now is forced to set up for something dirty. And a situation that could have led to a lead extension. This lead allows for O to stay in this behind by about a Tetris. 286 for O, 306 for Dan B. Clean plays so far from O. Dan B still going for this aggressive rope force setup. Column 8 and the getting access to the bottom hole over there for Dan B. As the way that things stand currently, Dan B with almost a 3 Tetris advantage. O is behind in line, so we do got to keep in mind that pace-wise, that might not be true. A couple Tetris because Tetris is going to be scored from O. 410 and now 451. Nice adjustments over here for O. And yeah, it looks like going to be trailing by 1 Tetris in terms of pace. Real-time lead is about 40,000. Misdrop over here for O. Potentially giving Dan B more of a chance to build up some separation. We are looking at a 600k transition for Dan V, and mathematically speaking, a 600k transition is also possible for O. Tetris for Dan V, Tetris for O here. 505 to now 566. Two more Tetrises left available for Dan V. Nice overhangs. Dan B really trying to score both of these Tetrises. Finds one. 2 Tetrises left for O before level 19. Danby holding out for this long bar, doesn't find it. Danby transitions at 615, but finds 2 long bars. Knocks down a Tetris, knocks down 2 Tetrises, goes up to 663. Oh, on the other hand, on his way to transition. And O transitions at 579. Danby, incredibly high stack, but finds the Tetris. O now having to knock down 1 Tetris. Wants to set up for the next one. But wow, look at how... Oh, accidental shift over there for O. Causing him to miss out on the opportunity to utilize that long bar for a Tetris. But either way, things are stable for both players. Danby at now 746, O at 656. Almost down by 100,000 points, but also a level behind. We do got to keep in mind that particular factor. These 2 players could, in fact, be on identical paces. Another Tetris here for O, goes up to 686. Danby at 785. Another Tetris for O, goes up to 712. And O's just going to bring the stack back down all the way to the bottom. Transfer the wheel back over to the right-hand side. Tetris for O at 743. Danby is now at 814. Oh, looking... Oh, misses the spin. But it's just going to set up for row 2. Knock down that row 2 Tetris. And burn back down to go back to row 1. 852 for Danby on level 24. Still ahead by a level in terms of lines. Oh, holding out for all the right pieces to go for ideal burn setups. And it works out flawlessly. Well gets reopened. Danby waiting for the next long bar. Tetris is going to be scored for Danby. 917. Tetris is scored for O. 809. Another Tetris for Danby. And that's going to be a Tetris for O as well. 839. So far, players are just back and forth with scoring Tetrises. O creates the long bar dependency. Does get it filled. Not able to use plenty of these long bars for Tetrises. Was 1 Mino shy of being Tetris ready. But is able to score some now. 982 for Danby. There's the max for Danby on level 26 at 815. O is at 905. Danby holding out for the next long bar. Tetris is going to be scored for both. 849 to now 939. O is going to be trailing in pace by 2 Tetrises. Another Tetris for Danby. Absolute tear here. Consistently able to score Tetrises here in the late post-transition. Another Tetris for O. There's the max. A04 to now B21 into level 28 for Danby. 3 Tetrises possible with perfect play. Looks like Danby's trying to go for it. Is set up. Has to take the triple now. 2 Tetrises available. Oh, having to do quite a bit of burning here. A lot of awkward pieces. Danby goes into 29. B74 is his current score. Oh, going aggressive. This could be the wrong decision to make. Nothing's burning. Oh, 12 lines to go before 29. And a mountain to dig out of. It's not happening. Danby equalizes the set 1-1. E23 from Danby here on level 34. Giving me time to eat popcorn too. Such a clean stack. Unlucky TP's not making it over. GG's though, but we are now tied 1-1. do have it ready from O. And now we have it ready from Dan V. Let's go ahead and get both of these players counted down. Game number 3. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. So openers getting started here. We are tied 1-1. Dan B had a phenomenal last game. And really on the post transition was just able to knock down Tetris after Tetris after Tetris. And especially when you look towards those last 3 levels, despite having a massive drought on level 28, Dan B really was able to pour on the aggression, even after the Mullen, showcasing what he was willing to do in order to take that game to tie things up. What a bits over there from Dan B. Both players so far with a flawless opener. And, ooh, Dan V would love to get a T-piece here. Goes for the spin tuck. Able to execute, and Tetris is scored. And first burn of the game seems like it goes to Dan B. O has been able to play perfect, so kind of doing a little bit of what Dan B did in the previous game. Looking at a flawless 40 here. Wow, a lot of Z's really trying to make sure these players aren't too drowsy. Be aware of their stacks. Dan V is forced to burn. Somehow, O did not have to burn throughout that entire situation. Is J piece dependent, though? No, looks like O's going to continue to be able to maintain a perfect Tetris rate here. But it looks like the burns might come in as we are running into a drought. Had to take the double, and there's nothing wrong with that. Can't let a perfect game lull you into a false sense of security. But either way, 300,000 before 60 lines is an incredible pace. Another Tetris for O, gonna go up to 346. The Tetris for Dan B goes up to 268. Really, this stacking is just really good. There's not too much to say. A lot of accurate placements. Hasn't really been too much trouble. Nice adjustment over there from O. $462 for O. 406 for Dan B. O has just maintained such an incredibly high Tetris rate for a bit. Of course, winner of this match will be one step closer, or winner of this game will be one step closer to winning the match. So these matches are best of 5. The only time it's not a best of 5 is when we get to sudden death, which it could be possible. lot of tough pieces for Dan B to work with here. S-spin doesn't really help too much. And there's going to be a Tetris for O. A little bit of finessing had to be done there. But O's going to be taking some burns here. That triple's going to be good enough. And the thing is, Dan B, not a bad pace, but O leads by over 100,000. And that's the scary thing. Oh, getting ready to transition. Dan B transitions at 521. Oh, will transition at 659, almost to 660. 130,000 points in the lead above Dan. As Dan holds out for all the right pieces, able to execute the tuck and find not one, but two Tetrises here. No Tetris is going to be scored for O, though. 688 to now 577. As O looking for an L or a J, and decides not to fill in the 2D dependency. Focuses on building out the left first, and fills it in later. 713, make that 741 to 628 as both players on level 21. A double flip from O. He's not too happy about that. Dan B with a clean board is going to be able to capitalize. Oh, now just looking for an L or a J. Now Tetris ready. Looking for another L or a J. And these pieces just were not providing. Dan V at 681. It's Tetris ready as both players waiting patiently on their next long bar. No idea when it's going to come. And this is good news for O, because he's going to be able to get out of it before Dan B can utilize any of this opportunity to build up, or rather decrease the deficit that he has. But there was a Tetris found over there for Dan B. And another one for Dan B. O is set up for one. Finally finds it. 792 to now 759. And now O going to set up for something here in the center. But it's just going to burn it out. Does have a long bar dependency in column 8. Dan B has closed the gap successfully. Another misdrop over there for O. One more Tetris, and that's going to send Dan B into tie range with O here. Oh, still trying to find ways to navigate through. There's been a lot more droughts here in the post-transition. Nine or 815 to now 862. Dan B has taken the lead, but O knocks in a Tetris. So does Dan B. It's gonna have to come down to 29 play. As long as these players continue to play at this level and survive. But what a bipolar seed. Went from where players were receiving plenty of long bars to almost none in post. It's going to be a Tetris for Dan B, but actually is having to spin lines burning out. So we could, in fact, be tied on pace. Oh, it's set up for the Tetris, knocks it down. 985 to now 976. Oh, with the advantage in pace. But the post-transition is looming. A11 and now A23. Dan V at A53 has transitioned to 29. O's going to transition at A62. Dan V trying to survive. And the effort is valiant. Almost out of this, but that left side is a concern. Goes for the flat placement. Would love to get an L. Gets an I piece. And the T piece hangs. But 2,000 points away. O is going to be good for game number 3. And it's a good thing that O survived until this moment, because Dan B was racking up the points and racking them up fast. We do have a ready from O. And we have a ready from Dan B. Game number 4. Can O give the Millionaires an advantage, or will we see a decider? We are about to find out. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. TZS, and both players open in the, actually, no, slightly different way. Dan's gonna turn off the lights, and you can see it. I can actually see the flashes on his camera. Well, if we get a long bar to see another flash. Early game drought. Wow. There's a Tetris for oh, and all I can do is just sit there and laugh. And there's the Tetris for Dan B. It's definitely a situation where RNG was testing them, is like, are you going to be vigilant here in the beginning of the match, or beginning of the game rather? But to start things off, O is going to be in the lead by a Tetris. It's going to set up for a S spin tuck, or S or T spin tuck. 2 options. Goes for the S spin tuck, hits it. But now has to be careful of how he decides to resolve this. Yeah, there wasn't too many obvious solutions, and might just have to opt for a row 3. Beautiful. I love, that's my favorite spin in Tetris, that J spin in particular. But Dan B was able to utilize this opportunity and kind of bring us into kind of a tie game situation. $156 now for O. $181 following that Tetris, and Dan B is actually going to take the advantage. This time it's Dan B's the one that's up on pace. And so far these games, it's kind of been alternating. Game 1, it was O that was performing better than Dan B on 18. Game 2, Dan B. And then Game 3 was O. So very intriguing to see how things change. Simul Tetris right there. It's going to be another Tetris scored for O. But at the moment, both players should be fine. There isn't too many complicated situations that could arise from the way that they're stacking currently. A couple of unwanted Z's on O's part. Going to force him to seek out certain pieces. Yeah, and it looks like burns are going to be forced upon O. And O actually going to go for a row 3 Tetris here. Knocks it down. And can go for row 2. Dan V with a 2 Tetris lead here. 362 for Dan. Adding a Tetris goes up to 385. O, on the other hand, is at 323. Waiting for the next long bar. He's able to find it. Another Tetris for Dan. Oh, just narrowly getting pieces in desired locations. 2 quick Tetrises, though. 395 now for O. Dan's going to find 1 Tetris. And had to actually use majority of those bars to kind of fill in certain dependencies. O's going to bring the stack all the way down to the bottom. As we get closer and closer to the post-transition. Just over 20 lines for both of them until that point. There's the Tetris for O, Tetris for Dan B. 505, make that 528. It's now 446. Almost a 100,000 point lead is built up. Nice tuck over there for O. And I like the way that O played that particular piece sequence, avoiding certain dependencies. Another thing, Dan B, on average in this game, has been playing a lot lower than he usually does. There's the transition for O, 538. Dan B is going to transition at a 620. A complete opposite in terms of transition paces from what we saw in the previous game. But of course, Dan B now running into some issues. An early drought on 19 is going to set him back. And this gives O the opportunity to close the gap. O is set up for the next Tetris, knocks it down. 615 and now 627. Dan B staying alive, but O is capitalizing. Tetris for Dan B, finally bringing the stack back down into a safer pasture. But O has closed the gap to now being under 1 Tetris behind. Takes the lead temporarily, and Dan B takes it right back. 684 to now 668. And just like that, a rough transition board, and we're back into a neck and neck, or a game that could be neck and neck. Both players are knocking down Tetris. 723 now for O. Long bar dependency, and O's gonna have to figure out some way to burn out of this. It looks like those pieces are gonna work out. And O's actually just gonna opt to reset the stack, go all the way down to the bottom, not go for any kind of column 9 shenanigans. It's a very respectful thing to do. But Dan B now 796. It's gonna take the lead, or increase the lead. No Tetris for Dan B, 825. Strong paces from both players here. Another Tetris for O. Was thinking about setting up a couple of overhangs. Would love to get a J piece. Gets the S piece. Not going to use it for the spin. Instead, holds out for the J tuck. Both players now Tetris ready. Waiting patiently here on level 24. Still waiting for the long bar. Still waiting on this long bar. There it is. Tetris for O and Tetris for Dan B. 895 now to 832. O trailing by 2 Tetrises. And both players are on identical line counts. A Tetris is going to be scored for Dan, and a Tetris is going to be scored for O. Another Tetris for O here. 903 now. Still trailing by 2 Tetrises. Was not given the right pieces. Actually, no, those pieces are perfect for O. Tetris ready now, as both players having to weather another drought. A safety triple is going to be taken. Dan B surviving. And Tetris for O. Tetris for Dan B. A02 now for Dan B. O at A50. Another Tetris for Dan B. Goes up to A36. O follows suit with one of his own. 985. Post-transition is about to be here. Or the post-transition, pardon me. One Tetris left available for O. 2 possible for Dan B. Now 1. There it is. Both players go to 29. A61 and now B15. Dan B in the midst of down stacking, or rather getting the board into a Tetris scoring position, and so is O. Both players around identical heights on the board. And Dan B getting set up for a Tetris, but a misdrop is going to hinder his progress. He's going to have to deconstruct and then rebuild. Oh, trying to get set up for a Tetris, but a lot of unwanted O's. The irony, but it's set up for one now. Holding out for the long bar, waiting patiently, but nowhere to be found. Has to be disciplined, but that misdrop could prove to be problematic. Things are going into disarray. Oh, trying to do his best to stay alive. That left side can't get the tap all the way over to the left. A98 to B99, a 100,000 point lead for Dan V. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a decider. Hey, Blue Scooty's grandpa. Hope you're having a fantastic day today. Real quick, Rose Wolfhard, thank you so much for the follow. Shane ITG, thank you for the follow. And Pink Blue, thank you for the follow. I know that was an hour ago, but yeah, thank you guys so much for the follows. Uh-oh. Alright. Dan B and O, y'all both have to agree. I'm giving you the option to re-roll the seed. So you can either, if one of y'all disagree, then it's just increment. But I'm giving y'all the option to re-roll the seed. So do y'all want to re-roll? Or are y'all fine with the increment? Alright. Looks like O is fine. That'll just be something fun to offer. So when we got it ready from both players, because we got it ready from O, need it ready from Dan V. Yeah, I don't know what Colin did, but somehow on the Gauntlet channel, Colin made himself a restricted mod. It just has like none of the perms that a mod should have. It's funny. Yes, 24. Alright, so we still got it ready from O. We just need it ready from Dan V as he stares off into space. Alright, there we go. Let's go ahead and get these two players counted down. This is the decider, and a pivotal one at that. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Very differing approaches for the opener. And oh my gosh, a 0-point top out. Wait. Hold on, what's going on? Wait, what? Can someone explain what happened? Bro. What were y'all trying to do? Can I, like, not be left in the dark? Like, what were y'all trying to do? Brother. Dude, can somebody tell me what is going on? Like, what were y'all trying to do? Bro, stop leaving me in the dark. All right. Well, we're gonna get things ready for our captain's match. It's a bit suspicious. Almost seemed like collusion of some sort. Dude, I can't believe that. That's wild. That is freaking wild. Oh, there's still a chance at sudden death. Question is, will Dan be alive for that? I feel like Dan's gonna like just pass out at any moment. You won't be able to contact him until the next day. Wait, I just realized O just tanked the mess out of his stats. Bro, his average is getting tanked. Holy cow. Commentator trash talk? How is that trash talk, dude? I mean, it does play a factor, and like, so arguably the Millionaires are going to be safe to make playoffs. Like, I think it's impossible for them to not make playoffs. I mean, if they both agree to a redo, then I wouldn't mind. Because I don't know, the thing is, I don't know, like, what the plan was. Because it was a very weird way of playing. I mean, both of y'all would have to agree to it. So, unless Dan B is alive and agrees to a redo, then... Yeah, I mean, O hung 3 bars, but at the same time, before O even hung the bars, the way that Dan B was playing was not normal. So. But like I said, it is what it is. I'd have to see it in chat, O. I'd have to see it from... do I really got to set this all up? Heck freaking W, then. Alright. Well. W sportsmanship. Blue Scooty and mods, you guys are gonna have to wait like another 10 minutes. Tetris players are too nice for their own good. Colin, I already talked with Pumpy about it. It's gonna go on for like the next 3 hours, so it's gonna be fine. Colin, like I said, don't worry. I have everything under control. This has been, it was hell to schedule this. Watch this mess still go to a sudden death. That makes sense. All right, look at this dude. Bro, is that the CTW? Dude, that looks like CTWC 2022's picture. It doesn't even look like 2023. Obviously, I didn't think it was their real stacking Katsugiri, which is why whenever they were being reluctant to tell me, I was starting to get irritated. Yeah. Can we, like, not do that next time? All right, we got it ready from both players for the decider. No collusion this time, hopefully. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. It's freaking wild, man. But as of things stand right now, 2 games were won by Dan V, 2 games were won by O. And O not going to be able to go perfect here in the opener. But things are going to be stable. Dan V is going to be able to hold on to a slight advantage. Well, not after having to take those burns. Going to be up by, or down by 1,000 points. And not too favorable O piece there. Now we got quite the interesting stack over here. $129 for Dan, $191 for O. Oh. But as things stand, O is going to be holding on to a 40,000 point lead. Dan set up for a dirty Tetris here. Just going to knock it down. And a little bit over halfway through level 18. Oh, with a very strong game here. 424 here at 88 lines. Dan V hanging an eyepiece to the left. Or not Dan V. Oh, hanging an eyepiece to the left. Dan V on the process of bringing the stack down. Not able to score at the moment, but does get the well open. 447 to now 345. Another Tetris for O. Dan V. What a ugly timed. Oh, hold on. I like the delay burn that Dan V's setting up. Oh, oh my gosh, those S's. For both players, they are going to provide complications. Dan V more so than O. But you could just see the reaction from both of them. Transition for O at 561. Dan V will transition at 420. There's a Kingsman somewhere saying, hey now. Massive deficit here in the decider for Dan V, but you can't ever count him out. He's come back from 100K deficits in prior games in this set alone. And O with a hang to the left-hand side. No eyepiece. O's going to top it at 589. Dan needs 590. Was able to withstand the drought. Three Tetrises is all that's left needed. There's one. Actually, one more will do it. And there it is. Dan V takes game number 5 legitimately. Sparkss and Minos now lead the match 2-1. Alright. Thank you for the gift of subs with Scooty Grandpa. Really appreciate it. Okay, listen, Cole. Under the particular circumstances for that team, it wasn't like there was a no-show and there wasn't a possibility of a sub. I didn't know that Dan V was available. Otherwise, it's either or. As opposed to what has happened with Alex S, and yeah, I'm going to call him out, who has no-showed consecutive matches, no communication or whatnot. I could argue that this is a different situation. I mean, it was already going to be disadvantageous for Ansel because he's in Hong Kong at the moment. Like, all right, look. I'm pretty consistent with my no-show ruling, but you got to have some damn empathy, man. I'm sorry. I'm just really irritated by that last game. I kind of feel disrespected, but yeah, it was fine. Dan V was available immediately, not like we had to wait a whole entire long time. Trying to even make this match happen in the first place, I had to go through so many mental hoops. Just really, really frustrating. The Seeds pin, Miles. D1 9389. Like I said, I'll let it slide because it's a novelty. But it has not put me in a good mood at the moment. I'm sorry for my outbursts. I really apologize. Sorry, Cole. Didn't mean to offend with anything that I said. Anyways, both players are ready. Heading to our captain's match. The Sparkss Aminos are up 2-1. Miles is looking to bring us to a sudden death. Let's go ahead and get them counted down. Game number 1. We're going 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Doing some minor things here. But to start things off, both players have knocked down 2 Tetrises. Miles has actually found a 3rd. Scooty has had to take a couple of burns. We actually had a tie there for a moment. And Miles actually had to forego using 2 of those long bars. The third one does come in time. There it is, tie game. Both players, same amount of burned lines. Scooty is going to take 1 more than Miles. And this is a pretty soon rematch. These 2 players matched up against each other at Waco, and that went to a decider. And even in Gauntlet, their previous matchup before CTWC was incredibly close too. I was going to be running into a slowdown here. And Scooty also finding some pretty good pieces. Miles and Scooty actually not really going to be able to score Tetris. Scooty does have a chance to get access to as well a lot sooner than Miles. There's Tetris for Scooty. It's going to kind of tie things back up and potentially take the lead if a long bar does come relatively soon. Scooty currently with the lead, 269 now, 235. We're closing in on just over 2/3 through the post transition. Miles really throwing those squares over there to the left. Does get the well open. There is Tetris for Miles. Scooty at 406. And at the moment, Miles is actually going to set up for a dirty Tetris here. Not getting the eyepiece, though. Both players running it head first into a drought. This could get very dangerous. Miles looking for an L or a J. Gets the eyepiece, goes for the flat burn. And that might have actually saved him. Double L dependent, though. Needs an L piece. L piece not found. Miles still trying to stay alive. Gets an eyepiece. Going to be a saving grace here. Nice double flip on the L. Tremendous survival. And Miles knocks down a Tetris, staying alive. Dirty Tetris is going to be scored for Scooty. But man, you have to give it to Miles for that. And it was just such a meticulously executed dig. All the right placements for the best chance of success. But it's going to be trailing by 130,000 points as we head closer and closer to the level 19 transition. One more Tetris can be afforded by Miles, and also one for Scooty. 423 transition for Miles, showing you it's not over till it's over. Scooty's going to transition at 582. And Scooty actually having to do some burning here. Scoring a Tetris is not going to be immediately available. It's going to be forced to go for row 3. Tetris for Miles goes up to 478. Scooty knocks down a Tetris, but also has another hole that's generated on the stack and decided not to go for immediate burns of it. Scooty's going to be utilizing this opportunity to just get the stack back under control. That means it's an opportunity for Miles to try and close the gap. However, the gap can't be closed if you're not getting a long bar as both players walk headfirst into another drought. Miles trying to exercise good drought management. Sets up a beautiful delay burn. Gets the O. Knocks down not one, but two Tetrises. 564 for Miles. Blue Scooty now in trouble. Throwing pieces over to 11. Knocks down a dirty Tetris. Also going to stay alive. RNG is really testing the players here. And Scooty's just going to opt for the triple. Not going to try and go aggressive. Not going to set up for anything dirty. As Miles is going aggressive. Setting up for the center well. Knocks down a Tetris. 621 and now 694. There is another Tetris for Miles. But it's gonna... No! Miles is actually set up for a dirty. Dirty Tetris for Miles. Trailing by 2 Tetrises at this point. But Scooty does have a cleaner board. So should be able to maintain cleaner Tetrises for a more sustained period of time. However, this dig is going to set Scooty back. Giving Miles an opportunity to clean up his board as well. Does Miles go for row 2? Yeah, Miles is going for it. Makes the adjustment. Set up for the row 2 Tetris. Knocks it down and transfers the well. And now does Miles go for the column 2? Miles is setting up the delay burns to go for it. Not too happy with how it's been executed though. Needs a long bar. Finds it. 761 and now 798. Both players having to witness a incredible degree of creativity and sustainability here in this game. But it's still far from over. We still have all of 29 through 39 potentially to go through. As Scooty holds on to a just under 100,000 point lead. 804 now for Miles. 865 for Scooty. Both players stack under control. Two more Tetrises available for Miles here. There's a Tetris scored. Miles gonna transition to 29 at 947. Scooty can try and grab 2 more. One more available for Scooty here. Is set up. Miles set up for a Tetris. There's the almost a max for Miles. Scooty transitions up uncomfortably high. Keeps the well open, but it gets covered. Now this could be dangerous. Scooty's gonna have to downstack. This is what you would consider 29-3 height. That left side's a concern. Oh my gosh, he gets the front. What? Scooty's still alive. That left side. He gets another one over to the left. No freaking way. If Scooty gets the right pieces, he might still... No, those S's might have done it. That might have sealed the deal. Miles has already passed Scooty's score. He's doing everything he can, but it's not going to be any avail. Miles takes game number 1. Absolutely ridiculous survival effort from both players throughout multiple portions of the game, and Scooty having an opportunity to actually clean up. But unfortunately for Scooty, it is going to be Miles to take this game. That was a Gauntlet seed. You should know this by now, Scooty. We do have a ready from both players, so let's go ahead and get them counted down. Game number 2 with Miles in the lead. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. But game 2 has been underway. Scooty with the advantage here so far. Miles had to take a few burns. It's a little bit of a separation in the times that players started. So Scooty is going to be trailing behind in lines. For the time being, it is definitely possible with how aggressively natured Scooty plays that he is able to close that gap between lines really quickly. Yeah, sort of like that. But Scooty's going to operate off of a more efficient 20-line opener so far. And a Simul Tetris there. Scooty's going to be still holding on to the lead. And we gotten to the point to where, at least in this particular game... Well, hold on a second. Complicated Pieces kind of did hit Miles' stack as he's looking for just some way to get the well open. Those S pieces are so unfavorable for Miles. He just has to commit to a couple of sacrificial burns. But still, even after all that, Miles once again finds himself in a similar situation like what we saw in the previous game. A little bit lower, so more maneuverability, but equal degree of execution is needed. The stack continues to get higher and higher slowly. Oh my gosh, Miles still looking to survive. Bringing the stack down bit by bit, row by row, block by block. Nicely done. Look at these flat burns. Much more maneuverable height for Miles. Gonna survive another scary situation. Absolutely insane from Miles. But Scooty is gonna take advantage of that. 410 is Scooty's current score. 240 is Miles as he opens up the well. Waiting patiently. And there it is. Tetris for Miles. And despite digging out of a crazy situation, all he could do is shake his head. Because Scooty has built up almost a 200,000 point lead as a result. Truly phenomenal down stacking. Miles now set up for a column 8. Knocks it down and reopens up the right well. Double J dependent. Fills in one J piece dependency with an I. Now the other can be filled in with either an S or a J. Gets them both in actually a favorable combination. So trailing by 200,000 points. Miles is going to have to step things up here. Arguably, the most important thing is that Miles is still alive. Topping out there would have allowed Scooty to easily equalize the set 1-1. And Scooty, on the other hand, wait a second. Unfortunate pieces, but for a moment there, the possibility of a 700k transition was on the table. No Tetris for Miles. Miles transitions at 462. Scooty, 2 Tetrises available. There's one. Yeah, and Scooty's going to transition just shy of a 600 if he's able to find this last Tetris. Or it's not 600, it's 700. And there it is. A 696 transition for Scooty. Miles at 562, but is 2 levels ahead. So Miles has his work cut out for him, but it's still doable, especially with post 29 in hand. And that's where the difference was made in the previous game. Blue Scooty setting up for the column 3, knocks it down, knocks down another one, and actually that's going to allow for the well to be transferred back over to the right-hand side. But speaking about well transfers, Miles is going to want to transfer his well a little bit lower. Very uncomfortable, and it's just going to commit to these burns. Reopens up the well on the right-hand side, just waiting on the next long bar. Another Tetris for Scooty, 876 on level 22. Miles at 713. Not a bad game by any means. It's just not the game that Scooty's having right now. We're looking at a 24 max. Potentially a max at some point in 23 if Scooty's able to maintain. No, this is a 23 max possibly. It would be a max into 24. But Miles at 806 now running into some issues. And there it is. There's the max out for Scooty. 821 here on level 24. Scooty could, if this game continues all the way up until 39, Scooty could set a Gauntlet record. Just truly phenomenal efficiency. 883 to 823. And Miles is still ahead in line. So Scooty has a potential 300,000 point lead, maybe even a 350 in terms of pace. Another Tetris for Scooty. B18. Miles trying to survive. Needs the long bar right now. It's not going to happen. Miles tops out at 835. Scooty, lay this one out. The match is now tied 1-1. B94. The score that Scooty would have to get is like a low 1.8 in order to get the Gauntlet record and take it from Alex T. Oh my gosh. Scooty needs the long bar right now. Wait, only 12 lines to down stack out of this. Already has the 1.2. Oh, the O piece doesn't make it over. Same spot where Miles died. Scooty ran into troubles too. Ridiculous game. All right, we got it ready from both players. Let's go ahead and get game number 3 counted down as we are now tied 1-1. We're going 3, 2, 1, Tetris. And already starting off Miles, not the most comfortable of situations. Oh, Scooty also somehow ended up in a similar situation to Miles. So, anytime you see players both get into a situation like that, it can tell you that the piece sequence might have been a bit difficult to handle. That, or they both have generally the same ideas on how to deal with said pieces. But overall, they're both down to the bottom. Scooty with the advantage by a Tetris and pace. But might lose out on that advantage. Couldn't use that eyepiece for a Tetris. It has to wait for the next one. Forced to take a triple. There it is, Tetris from Scooty. 128 to 127. Tetris for both players. Scooty's going to take a burn there. And Miles decided to go on a little bit of a flawless Tetris streak right now. No, Tetris for Miles. 195 to 175. Another Tetris for Miles. Miles just, for the time being, isn't burning. Oh, nice adjustment with the S. That accommodates that J perfectly. That's always one of the scariest things going up against someone, is whenever things just happen to be all perfect for them and they're able to just continuously score Tetrises without having to force too many burns, or in Miles' case up until now, force any burns. But both players now having to burn. The drought does surface here. Scooty on the verge of potentially topping out. Needs something to help him burn out. And Scooty tops out at 224. Miles is good for game number 3. Just able to survive. Wait, how long is this drought, though? Wait, no, I want to see how long the drought is. No! It happens. Let's see, 04. Oh. Here's the... I'm gonna roll you guys a new seed. I don't know, Scooty out here giving monthly Tetris. Is like playing a match at twitch.tv/monthly Tetris. Actually scamming the viewers. You're gonna go over there and just see challengers. Anyways, we got it ready from both players. Let's go ahead and get them counted down. Game number 4. Do we force a sudden death? Well, we're about to find out. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. And also different approaches for opening too. But right now, Scooty has to win this game to force a decider to avoid a sudden death situation. We've seen a decider between these two players many times before. And it's honestly starting to become the point where they are the newest rivalry. Seeing some funny YouTube comments where it was like Scooty versus his son Miles. That didn't make sense, but you think it'd be like the other way around. But these two players in particular are just incredibly close in skill. There's Tetris for Miles. It's another Tetris. 219 now for Scooty. Miles at 276. Of course, Blue Scooty and Miles are also going to be in Genesis, so you're gonna expect to see a lot of matches between these two. But right now, Miles with the advantage, 323. Scooty, after, really untimely S's there. Wow. Beautiful burns over here. I'm loving it from Scooty. Does knock down a Tetris, but now has to deal with this. Long part doesn't burn anything. Miles now, a little bit of a hairy situation. So both players are going to be taking a break from scoring Tetris and are going to be burning quite a few lines here. Scooty's board does look a little bit less complex to resolve quickly. But Miles, Miles is setting up for the dirty Tetris. No, just gonna burn out. Scooty set up for a center well, making the comeback here. Or 16 now for Miles. Both players have gotten the board under control. Scooty only trails by actually under a Tetris. Pace-wise, it's no real pace calculations that need to be forced. We are closing in on the level 19 transition, though. Scooty has to win this game in order to bring us to a decider. $510 now for Miles. $451 for Scooty. Both players on a clean board. Great placements over there for Miles. 2 Tetrises available for Miles. 4 with perfect play for Scooty. There's 1. Miles can score 1 more. Scooty can score 2. And Scooty trying his best to actually play this perfectly. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. Yeah, and those pieces aren't going to allow for it. Miles transitions at 581. Knocks down Tetris, goes up to 605. Scooty. It's really hard to find a solution out of this, but Scooty's going to transition at 528. Is going to be having to do some burning here early in the post-transition. Another Tetris for Miles. Scooty almost down all the way back to the bottom. Level 20. Board has been basically reset. Scooty can now start scoring Tetrises following this burnout of... Oh, not anymore. Didn't quite find the pieces that he was looking for the solution he was aiming to resolve. Miles has just been on an absolute Tetris spree. 714 for Miles. There it is, Tetris for Blue Scooty, operating off of row 2. And at this point, you can't let your opponent Miles get too far in the lead. Beautiful tucks execute over there for Miles. There's a Tetris for Scooty, and Scooty's back to the right-hand side on the bottom. Miles at 770, 170,000 point lead. Similar to what we saw in game number 2. Obviously, the pace not nearly as high, but the advantage is similar. Miles is also slightly ahead in lines, too. We do got to keep that in mind. As Scooty knocks down a Tetris, goes up to 660, trailing by 140. Miles answers back with one of his own. Both players clean, Tetris ready. J piece dependent over there for Scooty, gets it resolved. Now it's L piece dependent, gets that resolved. Now just waiting on the long bar. And there it is, Tetris for Scooty. Miles looking for an L or an I piece. Finds the I piece, followed up by 2 L's. Perfect. Miles is going to be able to knock down another Tetris. 894 to now 723. Scooty, on the other hand, looking for a way to get Tetris ready, looking for an L. It's fun, interesting. Scooty actually decided to isolate that particular dependency. 756 now for Scooty. Miles at 989. A max out is within a Tetris. Another Tetris for Scooty. There's the max out for Miles. 821. $824 for Miles. Scooty operating off of a column 4. And Scooty's committed to it. Knocks it down. Miles now actually with a couple of misdrops. A little bit of a cheeky bits right there. Is that what? That's a Tetris setup. And a well transfer over to the right-hand side. Miles missed the opportunity for a more efficient burnout, but regardless, Miles is in an ideal position to get clean in time for 29, as he's already amassed 1.1 million points. Scooty at 892. Can get the max before 29, but is elevated. Looking for the next long bar, waiting patiently. Tetris is scored for Scooty. 2 more available before 29. Miles hits 29, B23. Scooty, 937. 1 Tetris left. Miles trying to keep this column 3 open. There it is, Tetris for Miles. Scooty goes to 29 at 978. Set up for a Tetris, but taking conservative burdens. There's the Tetris. There's the max for Scooty. A17. Down by 170,000 points. Left side being addressed. Oh no. Scooty with a misdrop. Gonna have to bring the stack down. Miles going for broke. And doesn't get the eyepiece for the Tetris. Scooty first has to survive this and then had to chase down a B82. Scooty in the process of down stacking. Oh, these pieces. They're good, but at the same time, not perfect. Scooty would love an eyepiece here. And not going to be able to do anything. Does have the max. Miles takes the game. And the match. We're going to go to a sudden death, but that will have to be rescheduled because of basically all participating parties. Just like we don't have enough players for a sudden death today. Regardless, great games from all players. Oh wow, that's when the music ends. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Once again, I apologize for my little outburst that I had earlier. Oh, Fractal says, well, we're going to raid... You know what? I'm sending the raid over to Dog. Wait. Yeah. I'm going to send the raid over to Dog. And we'll be rescheduling Sudden Death. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I am your favorite underwater host, Sharky. And I'll see you in the next match of Gauntlet Ascension. Also, stay tuned. There will be a competitive ruling announcement for this particular match in regards to everything that went down. But wish Dog some luck as he tries to chase 10 million. I'm gonna drink some water and then get to work on doing voiceovers.